Welcome to Extra Sprague over Homestead. I'm Kanan. Have you met Nikki?
Probably not.
Well, it's Christmas season, and we kind of thought about having some fun today. So for this week's video on Saturday, we thought, let's talk about ridiculous things that probably will never show up on the homestead, but would make a list of kind of if you've been a good kid for the year.
And it doesn't have to be ridiculous, but maybe stuff that it'd be sure nice to have, but we're probably not going to do it. Or maybe we are. Who knows?
Who knows? So we sat down today and kind of, irrespective of each other, kind of came up with these lists of things of, yeah, that'd be nice to have, or that you look at it and go, that's ridiculous. So I'm going to kick this off with one of the things that I think would be nice to have. And that would be a lumber or a log splitter. So we go cutting firewood every year and that, and 75% of the time I'm able with an axe to be able to split wood. A lot of times we go for smaller trees, but once you get up around maybe about 12 inches in diameter, a lot of times they're really heavy. They may be still just a little bit too wet, and I just can't split them with either the splitting axe or a splitting maul. So a lot of times we'll take them down into our splitting area, kind of on the south side of the property, and we'll leave them till next year. A splitter would be able to probably most likely go ahead and split those out and not have anything left over for next year. That's probably about 20-25% of the time, but I think that would be something that'd be nice to have.
And down the road we'll probably do that. But right now, probably not in the financial budget.
What do you got on your list for that'd be kind of nice to have?
Well, I guess keeping with your kind of thought of something that maybe not right now, but maybe down the road, I would really like to get, and it's kind of a two-part answer. I would really like to get an incubator that I can do just batches of quail through the winter, because if you've been around for very long, you know that we have a full-size cabinet incubator, and it's not effective or efficient to run all winter. So I turn it off at the end of September, and I don't start it again until like the end of March, early April. But it would be really nice to hatch, a couple dozen quail here and there through the winter. So I'd kind of like to get that. And I'd kind of like to get a dozen or two of some real, true jumbos. Ours are supposedly jumbo Coturnics, but I don't think they're quite jumbo. So I'd like to get some bigger quail eggs to go with that incubator. I've been shopping on Amazon. Not quite there yet, but I've been looking.
So those are kind of small, right? They're kind of small little things here and there. I'm going to go a little bit bigger. So if you guys watch the channel, you know probably 2 weeks ago we finished up with our storage building. Now, we've had some aggressive discussions on how much car stuff is going to go in there. Right now, I only have half of it, or maybe one bay of it. And my plan of kind of keeping it as a separate, well, that went out the window immediately as soon as I bought another car.
Aggressive, as he said, aggressive discussions.
There's a lot of aggressive no's in my direction, is what I think. So, even though it's only a 2-bay building, to go bigger than that, the morning of when we started doing this, Nikki had said, I really had thought about building this into a 5 or 6 bay garage. Now that would be really nice to have.
And something I should never have even uttered.
Oh man, you want to talk about kind of like crazy-ish stuff. A 5 bay garage, now that's something I would really like to have.
It also was so out of the realm of budget. Because we would have had to pitch the roof the other way, and yeah, it wasn't in the cards.
Oh well. What do you got next?
Boy, that I can compete with your desire for an extra 3-car bay. Well, I don't have the fencing for it yet, but I have been wanting a herd of yaks for 8 years, 6 years? We were still in Mississippi when I looked at them. Mm-hmm. So it's probably been 8 or 10 years. I'm not a big fan of cows. We had cattle when I was a kid, and I'm just not a big cow fan. But for some reason, I fell in love with yaks. We went over to Medford and actually looked at a yak farm probably 5-6 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I came away wanting them even more than I had already wanted them. And so that's one of those things that if I had the money for it, man, I'd love to get just a small herd, like 4 cows and a bull. Maybe 5 cows and a bull.
Yeah.
Possibly 6.
Anyway, now we're going to go into stuff that's really kind of ridiculous. So the first one I'm going to have is a set of work gloves that actually will last more than 6 months. So we've been homesteading, off and on, or kind of ramping it up over 20 years. And I can tell you what, I've never had a pair of gloves that lasted a full calendar year. I've either got some that I get every winter because I tend to tear them up. I catch them on something, they rip. I mean, these right here are like a month old and I've already ripped like 3 holes in them. Summer gloves, same thing. I always wear the seams out of them, especially on the fingers or the fingertips. It doesn't matter if they're double and triple layered or whatever else, they eventually split the seams or they wear the fingertips out. And it doesn't matter if they're $80 gloves. I can't keep a set of gloves for a full calendar year before having to replace them.
And in that same vein, I'm going to say the same thing about jeans. I want women's pants, not men's pants. I want women's pants that fit and that last more than 3 months, that aren't made of this stretchy lycra garbage. I want pants that can do all the things that I do around here. And I have never found any. I've given up the search. Another thing is, I don't want to spend $100 on them. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I don't want to spend $100 on a pair of pants that aren't going to last. I started buying really cheap men's pants from Walmart for like $10 because when they fall apart and get ripped up, as they will, I don't have to cry too much. But look, I'm not built like a man, so they're very unflattering. I don't like to wear them off the farm. And yeah, they don't. If I get 6-8 months out of them, I'm doing really well.
Right. And I've got double-fronted Carhartts that I bought on sale 7 years ago that are just finally now starting to wear through enough that I'm going to have to look at replacing them. At least one of them is finally that way. But they're all starting to get that way. But yeah, if you could have women's pants, even if we're at the same price point, right? $65, $80, which is on the high end for a double-fronted, really good pants.
We paid $50 for yours.
We paid $50, and they've lasted 7 years.
And
going
the
into
women's
8.
version of Carhartts that are just like yours are like made of Hope streams and toilet paper, which in this economy would actually probably be a good thing.
Yeah, it would be. That's dual purpose right there. When you rip them up, you can wipe them down.
There you go.
All right, so what do you got next? What's on your list?
I'm a pretty simple gal. I think that's just okay. I'd take a brand new truck. I will never pay for a brand new truck. But man, wouldn't it be nice to have a brand new, full-size 3/4 ton?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, even a 1 ton would be cat's me out.
I would do a diesel 1 ton that could tow one of our Suburbans. Because one of the things I'd always been thinking about getting is, since I'm starting to get into these older cars and that, start cannibalizing all these old trucks, all these auctions and that are, just start splitting them up, doing something on the side. My Suburban cannot pull another Suburban on a trailer. It just can't. It's outside the range. But
it
a
shouldn't
1 ton,
anyway.
Well, it's not going to. I'll tell you that. I'm not going to risk it. But a 1 ton diesel has the capability of doing that, and our trailer could do it because we actually towed Nikki's home after it lost a transmission a few years ago.
I never want to pay for the insurance on it or actually pay the purchase price. But man, that'd be nice. If anybody is giving out 1 ton diesel trucks, hook us up.
That's right. That's right. All right, so the last thing on my list, which is kind of in the, that's never going to happen, is a third person full-time here on the homestead. And why I say that is, 1, we really don't have space for an extra person, and 2, nobody probably wants to live with me also. But there are days when a third person would be awesome, would be handy, because There's days that she needs extra help that I also have things to do, so it's kind of like somebody doesn't get anything on their list done, and it would be nice to have somebody, right? 2 people gardening, one that be able to kind of shuffle soil around or do anything else. You've got butchering days, you've got everything else. There's always stuff that can be done, but it's like 2 people can only do so much, and there are days when, for instance, one of us isn't on the homestead. It would be nice to have a third person to basically kind of jump in where the second person should have been.
And we're not big on there is a couple of big name farms that do apprenticeships and they don't pay people. And I feel like that's not, I just don't feel right about that. I get that you learn a skill and maybe somebody is interested in doing that for a short amount of time, but I don't know.
Right.
That's where we keep talking about it. We can't really afford to pay anybody.
Yeah, you could do it maybe like a month or 2 at a time over a summer and all that, but come November, December, when snow's starting to build up and that, and you're kind of inside a lot of the days, the last thing you want is a third person sitting around going, I wish I could be outside doing something.
No kidding.
And besides, we don't offer 401k or stock options around here. So, what's ridiculous on your list?
I think that's all I had. Probably the truck is the most ridiculous thing I've got.
Over the yaks, really?
Yeah, because I could come up with those yaks.
You could come up with a new truck,
I
too.
could buy a lot of yaks for the price of the truck.
Well, when they're starting to top $100,000 for the top of the line,
yeah,
that is a lot of yak.
And I have looked at yaks for like $800 to $1,000 for females, for cows. So
yeah, that's true.
The yaks are probably going to happen way before the truck.
True. I agree. Well, then I guess that's our lists. Other than you didn't mention a second trailer, but that's probably on there.
Yeah. Well, the yaks require accessories.
That's true. That's true.
Every girl knows that you've got to accessorize.
That's right. So that's our list, from things that are probably feasible to things that are purely ridiculous that are probably never going to happen on this homestead. The question is, what would you guys have on your list? What is going to be feasible stuff that if you had a little extra money or a little extra time, you'd love to have on your homestead? And what are the things you're like, you tell somebody and they look at you and go, that is ridiculous?
And it could be anything. I mean, there's a lot of things we talk about that we may do at one point, like a milking machine or bees or whatever. But these are the things that we think, it's probably not ever going to happen unless Santa really, really, really likes us.
Right.
But, what kind of things do you want to add? Are you wanting to add animals, new greenhouses, a new truck, a pool boy?
If you're homesteading, I don't think you have time for a pool. Just saying. Been there, didn't do very
Massage
well.
therapist?
Ooh, now that is one I think is a great option. So a third person in the house is a massage therapist and a gardener.
Oh, this is getting better.
Exactly.
Where do we find this person?
That's ridiculous we're taking applications. So that's it from Sprague Homestead. Let us know down in the comments what you guys have on your list, the ridiculous or the maybe in the future. We'd like to know. We'd like to hear. See you next time.
And the one thing we do wish for everybody is a great holiday season with your friends and family.
That's right. Still 2 weeks away.
We hope everybody gets a chance to spend a little time with your loved ones. And that is it for today. Happy homesteading. Dream big.